The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and color her dress and bows and boots, and we're going to use the same colors on all of them. And those colors, we're going to use the two colors of the month, which are BV23, which is I believe grayish lavender, and BV25, which is grayish violet. There's another one that's even darker in that BV family. Maybe it's BV27, that's slate, that's very nice. However, I'm going to show you, hopefully, the versatility of the Copic markers in that you can blend with other things. And we're actually going to use the C7 in some of these darker areas. So we're going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to start with the bodice of her dress. So we're going to start with BV23, and we're going to just color the entire top of it here. Next, I'm going to use BV25, and I'm going to make most of the shadow here coming on this side. So we're going to have the darkness here, and we're going to do that on her bodice and her skirt, and then we're also going to add darkness underneath this top layer of ruffle. So I'm going to have the strokes coming in from this side come in further than the ones from this side. And again, if you find it's easier. And then where that seam is on the bottom, you also need a little bit of darkness there and a little bit at the top, maybe more than I have. Then we're going to use a little bit of C7, and we're just going to use this on this darkest area here on this edge. So we're just going to use just a little bit of that, and using real small . Then we're going to go back to the BV25, and we'll blend in, again, starting on this outside line and pulling it in. I love brand new markers because you can tell they're very full when the color is just being sucked out of them by the paper almost. So I like that. All right, so we're just going to do that just around the edges and not really on that other side, as there's nothing else to blend there. And then we're going to do the BV23, and we're going to do this similar to the way her face was done, in that we're going to come from both sides. And there you have the bodice of her dress. Now we're going to work on her little ruffles, and again, we're going to start with the BV23. And I do think that if you had some really small patterns of paper, this could be really cute to give her a nice little floral-y dress. I think that would be a lot of fun. You could also color the top layer, or color the bottom layer maybe, of her tutu, and have the underneath part be solid, or a little pattern. Oh my heavens, well, it's a good thing I'm cutting this girl out, because I just colored way out of the line there. Don't worry about being perfect the first time through, because we will come back and come over that again with the same color. Then we're going to have BV25, and we're going to again add that more on this side than on this one. And then definitely under here a lot. So you're going to come up each one of these little ruffles. And don't be too worried about going outside the line, because, as I said, on this particular card, we are going to be cutting her out. And we want to continue on the top, again coming through a little ways here. The next thing we're going to do is add C7, and again we're going to just put this in just the darkest areas, which are going to be right along this edge here, right under her hand, and then inside each one of these ruffles. Then we're going to use the BV25 once again, and you're going to pull that C7 just into that area a little bit more that we've been coloring. So just pull straight down. And here. The last thing we're going to do is the BV23. And again, we're just going to use some big sweeping motions here, and I'm just coloring right over the top of that. I think it's working pretty well. Seems very easy. And then pull down though into these areas here. And there we have her skirt. To do her boots, I just used the BV, throw in my markers. I just used BV23, and I just went over the boots just like that. There's a pattern on it, which makes it a little bit difficult to do any shading on it. If you wanted, there's a couple little areas here, and you could maybe put a little darkness in between if you wanted. Last thing to color on her is her bow, and we are going to do that with the 2 colors of the month. So we're just going to start with BV23, and then BV25, just on the very inside of the bow there, and then we'll use BV23 again and blend out. And there you have the coloring. Now we're going to color the girl that goes on this card, and we're going to use the same colors of the month for her bodice and for the bow in her hair and for her boots as well. And then on the skirt, I'm going to use 2 greens to tie in another little color on the card. And I am using YG03 and YG06, which are part of my basics colors. And so we will begin with the bodice and the bow the same as, and the boots the same as the other card, with the exception that we're not going to use the C7 in this card. Oops, wrong end. The next thing we're going to do is color her skirt, and this time we're going to use YG03 and YG06. And you could use the YG09 if you wanted to make it even darker under this ruffle, but I kind of wanted a lighter little girl look than a darker color. So we'll start with the YG03. So that was YG03. And then we're going to use YG06. And again, we're going to put that right in these little spots right here. And then right under where the bodice meets and where her hand is. Now we'll blend with the YG03 and just pull those colors in nice broad strokes. And you might want to cover over it everything one more time just to make sure you have all the white spots filled in. And there you have her. You know, I didn't, when I made this card, put the cool shadow around the outside. However, usually when I have them sitting on white paper like this, I do like to use the BG10 and just come around the outside a little bit. The other thing you can do is just sort of sweep out as if she's created a shadow where she is. And that will lighten up a little bit as that dries, and I think it'll make her pop off the card a little more. Sometimes I've seen people take their blender, colorless blender, and sort of pull that out even more to make it shadow more, which I do like the look. The alternative is you can always put the colorless blender on first, which is a technique that Copic does teach in some cases, to use the colorless blender as your base coat, because then it'll be a little more fluid, but I almost think it makes it look darker. So there we have her, and she's maybe popping off the card a little bit more. So now you should have both of your girls completely colored, and we'll go ahead and cut this one out, and we're going to leave this one on here.